Greetings, friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Life with Me, Myself, and IAM. Val's House International Ministries exists to creatively bring the gospel of hope to life through Bible studies, podcasts, conferences, and retreats, both live and virtual, designed to strengthen faith, bring hope and healing to others, and above all, to glorify God. For more information about Val's House Ministries, please check out the show notes. Life with Me, Myself, and IAM would like to thank the generous donors and partners of Val's House Ministries for your continued support. And now, on to our show.
Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Life with Me, Myself, and IAM. I am Stephanie Fagans, and with me today is my guest host, Michelle Hargrave.
I thought you were almost going to say Michelle Fagans.
I almost
like for
did.
a second there.
I almost did.
Yeah, I thought. And yes, I've been married for now 5 years, but still Michelle Fagans, definitely.
This is true.
But Michelle Hargrave.
And we are here to welcome a fabulous couple, Allie and Josh Krabs. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. We are super excited to be here with you guys. Neither Josh or I have ever done a podcast, so we are ready.
Well, you might start your own after this. It could be like the crab confessional. We'll table that. We'll table that and think of a new podcast name.
Come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, since everyone has a podcast now,
even your mother.
Yeah, even my mom. Even my mom has a podcast. Very exciting.
Well, guys, we are so excited to have you on, and let's talk a little bit about why we're talking to you. And you're in the Dominican Republic.
So Casas for Christo is a house-building organization similar to Habitat for Humanity, with more of a spiritual focus. And our desire and design is to connect the local church here in the Dominican, Mexico, and Guatemala with teams that come from the States, partner with them for the families to receive a home and the pastor to get to preach the gospel and use this as a tool to outreach and create disciples.
So, you talked about how y'all are now in 3 different locations, which is amazing. Guatemala and Mexico, which is in Juarez, right? Are y'all still specifically in Juarez?
We're in 2 places in Mexico, so Juarez and Acuña, Mexico.
Acuña, Mexico. So, okay. And then now the Dominican Republic, which you guys start, or did y'all the ones that led that, or?
Launched this location, yeah.
So, about in 2014, Casas came to me and another couple, Justin and Julie, and they asked us to launch our next location, which is here in the Dominican Republic. And at that time, me and Allie had just gotten engaged. And so I was like, well, I need to talk with her and see how she feels. And her being very mission-minded, it was an easy decision. She's like, yeah, let's do it. It was a great opportunity. I've been with Casas since 2006. Make it ours together. And so... so we accepted, and we've been down here and part of the launch team ever, since I guess we're past the launch point and going on our 7th year now.
Wow. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yep, it's crazy.
So
started a newly married couple and now have 2 kids and 2 dogs.
So how do y'all decide which families are blessed?
So that is completely through our local pastors. We have nothing to do with that. One of the things that makes Casas, I think, so beautiful and what makes it work is we are a tool for the pastors to utilize. We are not the face of Casas por Christo in the Dominican Republic. Our pastors that we partner with, they are the face of Casas por Christo in the Dominican Republic and all of our other locations. So if a family wants a home or needs a home or is interested in a home or whatever, it's all done through the local pastors because they grew up in these communities. For Josh and I, it's really easy to look out and just see the need everywhere we go, right? But these pastors, obviously, this is their home. They know these stories. They know their people. They know the people that they're serving. And so they know who it's going to impact the most and who truly has the most need for it. And so all of that is completely reliant on our local pastors. They, when they decide on a family, the family fills out an application form, and then that application form is passed over to us, and then we do all the admin and get it all plugged in. And from that point, we pair them with a team or whatever, the next process in our, in what we do.
Knowing Casa por Cristo, just from you guys, just from knowing y'all for 12 years, I'm trying to think of how long I've known Allie, like maybe 12 years or 10 years. I know, I'm like counting. Yeah, a very, very long time. I love Casa por Cristo because it's short-term work, but with a long-term heart. You know, when you think of people going to missions, like Mission Week, you know, like spring, like churches going to spring break, or you know, college kids going to spring break, which is where we grew up. We met in college, and we would have a Kingdom Week, you know, and they would go for the week, and you would do this amazing thing for a week, and then you'd kind of completely leave them high and dry. And it's like, how do we know that they're still getting fed spiritually, or even just still receiving the help that they need? And so, you know, Casa por Cristo, I think, does an amazing, beautiful job in that, you know, y'all do give them that immediate need with short-term mission, like with people coming, groups coming, and being able to participate in short-term mission. But then they still are connected to the church. They're still connected to the pastor. You know, it becomes then a lifelong relationship between that. You know, us from America doesn't just come and be like, hey, we helped for a week, we're good people, but we're going to leave them. You know, this is really a lifelong heart mission. And so I love Casa por Cristo. I think what y'all are doing is really amazing. Speaking of groups, what kind of groups come down, and what exactly do they do? Like, are they the ones that you just give them like a jackhammer and you're like, good luck?
So our groups are anywhere from a group of a church that sends its middle school youth program down to through high school to all adult teams. To I've worked with teams before where no one's been under 50. And so from the start, the group will show up here, and on the first day we pour a foundation. On day 2, we're building walls and doing that. And day 3, it's electrical, putting on the roof. And typically by midway through day 4, we've completed a whole house from start to finish.
Wow.
And these homes they're not mansions, they're not huge, but for these people that we're building for and serving in each country we're in, they are an incredible step up. You know, I always equate it to being like, if someone came to your door in the States and like, here's a $500,000 home, they are typically not something that would ever be attainable for any of the families that we serve.
Yeah, I think looking back on our builds and things when we were first here and people didn't quite know what we did, so people didn't know, right? There was one build and it was the dedication. So the whole community comes and is like so excited to walk through this home. And one of the community members literally walks through the door and she said in Spanish, but she said, "It is a mansion."
Wow.
And that it's an 18 by 24 square foot home. But that shows you it is a huge blessing for these families. Most of the families that we build for, they are all sleeping on the same bed in the same room. Most of the time their bed they've had forever, it's completely ruined from like water damage or being on the floor. What say you? And it really is, it's incredible to be able to lock your door, know that your family is safe. Also know that when it rains, you are going to be dry. It's huge.
And something that we, especially in America, do not understand. And so that's, like you guys being out there is amazing.
So how did you two meet? Josh said earlier that Allie was very kingdom-minded. So how did this happen?
So I was in college and Josh was working for Casas. And my college internship, I went to Guatemala and worked at a school there. and it was also in the same town that Casas was working in. And so at that point in San Raimundo, we were like 2 of 6 Americans in this whole town. And so and our ministries were partners. The school that I worked with also like helped Casas. And so we just met. I was an intern and he was a staff member. So there wasn't like a ton of interaction other than the fact that he thought I was lazy and I slept a lot.
Well, from knowing you in college, since I attended the same college you guys did, and I believe y'all were suite mates. Yes, Josh, she did sleep a lot, but not as much as Michelle.
Yeah. We enjoyed many a naps. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so that was in 2012, I think. And then from that, we just maintained a friendship. And eventually he ended up in Dallas for a conference with Casas. And then like 6 months later, we were engaged. So, it happened really quickly in one sense, I guess.
One of my favorite stories about Allie and Josh getting married is, and I will always think of it, is when we were at the rehearsal dinner in St. Louis and Josh's mom got up to speak and is like, Allie, we're now one of the very few women in the world that have now voluntarily chosen the last name Krabs. So I always will think of that story. Like that still is the best story ever, having the last name Krabs.
Well, for Josh, it was a deal breaker. He said, well, you can tell it.
I don't have anything to say.
He told me, he said, if you don't take that last name, then you don't really love me. So it was a proof of love if I took on his last name.
Yeah.
So y'all have been in the Dominican for 7 years?
Yep. We 6.5. So we're in our 7th year. We've completed 6.
Wow.
So you also mentioned earlier, and just from my knowing you guys, y'all have a son and a daughter. So James is 3-year-old, right? And Lily is 7 months. She's so sweet. They're both just the cutest ever. How do you balance life, one, in a different country away from your family with 2 small children, but as well, like giving your heart to the mission field, giving your heart to Casa por Christo and the families that you guys are impacting? How do you kind of balance that?
That's a great question. It's one of those things that the burden has fallen more on Allie than myself as a mother and taking care of the kids. On my end, we try and keep James, especially Lily's a little too young to do much of anything, but James, we keep him involved. He goes out on the job sites. He's out there working with us. He's part of the ministry, hanging out with the kids in the community. But really, Allie has stepped up in a huge way, and she takes care of the kids while, when we don't have a team, we have an 8 to 5 that we're required to do daily for the ministry. It's taking care of admin stuff and materials and whatever that might be. And Allie is a rock star and taking care of the little ones while I'm at work. And, that's one of the biggest challenges of being on the mission field, is being so far away from family and not being able to call mom and dad when you're having a bad day and needing a break, or whatever that might be. We do have a support structure down here, but it's not quite the same as being around family and, having that hope that you're willing to inconvenience at any time almost, with your parents or whoever it might be. You're like, hey, I know it's 4:00 in the afternoon, but my kids are just driving me nuts. I need to drop them off for an hour.
Yeah. I think, how do I answer this question? I think when I first became a mom, so when I first had James, that was a really hard transition for me, because previous I was in the field, quote unquote. I was in the office. I was just as much a part of the ministry administratively speaking, as Josh was. And so when I had James, I had to take a step back. I couldn't be with teams 24/7. I wanted to be, but like I also had a child that his needs come before anyone else's. And so this isn't necessarily what you asked, but it was hard for me to transition because I found so much joy in what Josh and I did previously, and I found a lot of worth in it. And so it took me a while to refocus.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I love all the parts of it, right? Sometimes I wish I was a little bit more involved with like the admin and the actual day-to-day of what Casas does, but it's so fun to be able to take James out, and he's actually like really understanding what we do now. And he'll pray for families that need homes. Aww. Or he'll talk about, well, we build homes. Like we build homes for families. And the other day we always have a bunch of local kids at our house because Josh built a really nice playground in our backyard. And so the kids will call it like, el parque está abierta. Like the park is open. Is the park open? And I'm like, sure, guys, the park is open. But the other day, James was asking me, he said, Mom, why do the kids always come over to our house? And I said, well, babe, they don't have a really nice backyard like you do. And I said, they want to come experience this too, because you have so much fun with it and they want to experience it as well. And he looked at me so serious and he said, Mom, if they're out on the street, they need to come live with us.
Aww. Aww.
So,
it's going to make me like that's so
don't make
sweet.
me so cry.
I know, right?
It's he in his little 3-year-old mind, like he's starting to catch it.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful to watch and to see. And a part of that is because Josh, I don't know, I think we just try to be very intentional about how we talk with him. And like we are doing ministry, like this is what God has us doing. And sometimes it's hard because he'll be like, well, like, why isn't my Noni and Pa here? Yeah. Well, sometimes God calls us away from our family. And so, I don't know.
No, I can't imagine. Yeah, no, I think you described it beautifully, Allie. I think you really described it, because not only is it difficult, you know, just from a woman's standpoint, like being a mom, right. You know, trying to balance work life and home life, and your work life just has a little bit more oomph than like other war people were like you're advancing the kingdom of God. So, you know, like that one has a little bit more oomph in certain cases, but, you know, trying to find that balance and finding that value, like you said earlier, in everything that you do, and how your this season of life looks a little bit different than when you first started Casa por Christa, but you know that's just a different season of life. And I love the pictures. If any of you guys are interested in following Allie and Josh with Casa por Christo, definitely I think you guys should shout out like your Instagram and your Facebook, because they post really amazing pictures of James and like a little hammer. I love those little pictures of him. and like day 1, day 2, like I know Josh always posts like day 1, and then you get to see them, and surprisingly how quickly these houses are coming up. I mean, it's really a science on how quickly they're able to bless as many people as possible with that. So what's y'all's Instagram and Facebook if y'all are interested in that?
Okay, so my Instagram is forever_crabby, Allie Crabs, and Josh.
My Facebook is Josh Krabs, just my name. I actually don't know what my Instagram is.
I think yours is just J Crabs.
Just J Crabs.
JCRABBS Crabs.
Yeah, two B's.
Two B's.
Two B's.
Yeah. And you can also look us up on Facebook with just our names, obviously.
And then real quick, some other questions that we have. We'd be remiss to talk about how COVID-19 has affected everyone, but specifically how COVID-19 has affected Casa por Christo. I can't imagine with how border shutdowns and
people not getting to come down to build houses for others. How did y'all handle that?
It actually was really scary. When it all happened, we do, the way the ministry is funded is through the houses that we build. And so organizationally, even though we are as fundraisers, as missionary, organizationally, COVID-19 happened at about the absolute worst time because 80% of our homes happen, spring break through summer. And when COVID hit, we lost, half of spring break and then all of summer. And organizationally, we got down to about 6 weeks worth of money, where we thought, are we going to have to start laying people off? Are we going to have to shut the doors? How does that look? And, we put out an email and a call to help, and God was incredibly generous. We raised more money than we'd ever raised before. We got qualified for the PPP, and those were huge blessings. And through that time, we also created our Hope Restored program. And so even though we weren't doing groups, many churches are still willing to send down hey, we budgeted the money to send down, a team to build a house. Well, obviously we can't send down the team, but we still want to pay for the house.
Wow.
Wonderful.
So in the past we've done in the Dominican alone, we were doing about 50 homes a year, and across all locations, we were doing close to 300. And last year we ended up doing 180 through COVID. With almost 100 of those being the Hope Restored. Really was an incredible God thing that the program just took off. The churches, our supporters in the U.S., were willing to jump on board and pay for the materials. And us as a staff partnered with the local church in each location. Here in the Dominican, we were partnering with the local church. We had the same group of volunteers, young people. School got shut down here. And so some young people started coming out with us every week. And we were able to do almost 20 homes, I think 18 homes in the school that we did through our Hope Restored program after COVID started just in 2020. And so far this year, we've done 8. And we actually had our first team return as well, which is really cool. It was very much a breath of fresh air. We've had 2 teams come back, where we went from having, 40 different teams, churches, and people just funneling in and out to nothing in a year, and it was way different. But it was definitely a walk of faith, and God really, was just extremely faithful. He just feel very blessed. Even just talking about looking back, like a year ago, I was talking to some of the leadership, and we were like, what a disaster we were in. We were so worried, and now, not that we're through it all yet, but you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and God's faithfulness looking back at it. It's been awesome. Not COVID, but just the way God's answered prayers.
Mm-hmm. Well, in talking about helping out, what can people do to help further the kingdom through Casa por Christo?
The best ways, and this was a lot of ways, but financially, obviously you could come on a trip. You could bring a trip. That would be even cooler, but also just going online and making a donation. You could donate to the Hope Restored program, which allows us to continue to build houses even while the groups are slowly coming back. This summer we have 7 groups signed up this summer, 7 churches, and that's about a third of what it normally is. And Wow. It's incredible that they're coming down, but the Hope Restored program allows us to continue to build when we don't have groups. And so donating to that program would be great, or, any of the different ones we have online. Allow us to continue to do the ministry that we love to do and feel called to do while we're in country.
Well, we would like to let you know that we've had a donor come up and say they will match all donations for the month of May that you guys get.
Wow.
So we wanted to share that with you and with everybody else. go out to their website and donate, and we'll let the people know. And
the link will be down below.
Yes, the link will be down below.
To donate to Allie and Josh.
Okay.
Wow.
So for the whole month of May, we'll total it up and double that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow.
So really get out your checkbook, guys.
Yeah.
Right. Let's make this worrisome.
Yeah, let this be a challenge to everybody. Let's get some more houses built.
Well, we just want to thank Allie and Josh seriously for coming. Like we said, please look up them on social media. If you're interested in sending a group or being a part of a group, Casa por Christo has a website that we'll put down as well. When you guys donate, you can either donate to Casa por Christo and the Hope Restore specifically, or you can scroll down to Allie and Josh, correct? If you want to specifically bless them and their sweet James and Lily, their sweet children that are there as well. And so whatever you guys are interested in, like I said, or like my mom said, anonymous donor will be matching every donation in May. So
now is the fun part. Well, that was pretty fun too.
Yeah.
But we do something called the Fast Five.
Okay.
So these are questions, just shooting them off the hip and just answer as they come. Okay?
Quick.
All right. You ready? Okay. What is one thing you miss getting from the States?
Starbucks.
How did I not know that?
Good restaurants.
all right, last purchase from Amazon.
Truck book. Monster truck book specifically.
For James.
For
are you
wait,
sure?
for Josh or for James?
For James.
Oh,
Okay.
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 You know. Allie, what is your favorite season?
Fall.
How warm is it down there right now?
Probably
80.
85.
It's just humid here.
Yeah. All right, Josh, toilet paper over or under?
Doesn't matter.
2-ply or 1-ply?
Fly.
Whatever you can get down there, huh? And the last one.
What are you guys currently binge watching on Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus?
The challenge.
The challenge.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I like the challenge. I lot.
I haven't seen
It's
that
an
one. I may have
MTV
to-
reality show. I
Oh,
don't. Yeah,
that's
I don't
probably why
think.
I haven't seen it. Yeah. Well, guys, we are so thankful you were able to join us from way down in the Dominican Republic. And gosh, it's good seeing you both. And we're just so proud of you. And now I'm going to tear up. So
I had class with Stephanie. Me and Stephanie, what did we have together?
I
think it was
No.
we had at least 2 classes together in
Psalms and
college.
Literature.
I don't know. It was the one that you...
Yeah, I'd slept through a lot.
Yeah.
Prison Apostles. That sounds like one I didn't go to a lot.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Kiss those kids for us. Everybody, thank you for joining us today. And we will see you next time on Life with Me, Myself, and I Am.